Phil from the future here. I recommend round 1 of this video if you're looking to watch Coppercoat Vanguard tear things up, and I recommend round 5 of this video if you want to see some really neat Esper Sentinel stuff. Round 2 is probably the worst round, just FYI. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and I've got a sweet card that I'm going to try to break today. So I have it on good authority that this card has already 5-0'd in Legacy. Japanese player Mirosh06 on Twitter recently 5-0'd. It was this morning as of my time of recording, with 3 copies of this in a Legacy deck list. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the deck list itself and talk about why we might want to be doing this in Legacy. And just as a heads up, today's video is sponsored by Card Conduit rather, a fantastic way to sell your cards at better than normal buy list prices. We'll take a look at them later. All right, so Coppercoat Vanguard gives your humans a power buff while also giving them Ward 1. And you might be used to Ward from cards like Kappa Cannoneer, and that is a very powerful effect. But here's the thing. In Legacy, if you give something Ward 1, that is doubling the mana cost of the removal spell that is usually going to be pointed at it. And when you frame it like that, especially in a tempo deck that is looking to beat you down with Champion of the Parish and quickly grow your team with cards like Thalia's Lieutenant, is actually a really good and a really big deal. Adeline Resplendent Cathar is a really powerful card in this shell. So when you attack, for each opponent, you get a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking. Well, that is going to grow this every turn. That is going to grow this every turn. That is going to have increased power from Coppercoat Vanguard, and I love this art, by the way. And it is going to get buffed by things like Rick, and also make sure that you get up to the 4 count that you need in order to give all your humans +2/+2. So in the purest sense, we are an aggro deck with very limited disruptive elements. Like, we technically have Esper Sentinel and Thalia for taxation effects, but this is, generally speaking, a get them dead deck list. We are very much looking to turn cards sideways and lean into our various human synergies. While I think my Legacy fans will recognize most of these cards, Sigrid Godfavored is one that I had to look up. First strike, protection from gods, in case that's going to come up. And when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target attacking or blocking creature until Sigrid leaves the battlefield. So it's a great way to get a Murktide Regent or another very large card out of the way. And by the way, I'm just realizing that I have every alternate art under the sun for this deck list. Alternate art .deck, let's go. One other one you might not know is Nightclubber in the sideboard, which is very similar to Orzhov Pontiff, which has seen play in these human deck lists for a very long time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the matches here and see how it feels. I've been waiting to play with this card for a long time, and now it's here. Let's turn some creatures sideways. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It is the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. Okay, round 1 opening hand is decent, not insane. We've got uncounterable creatures for if we're playing against a blue deck. I think I keep this one. The big decision here is whether or not I go for turn 1 Noble Hierarch or turn 1 Esper Sentinel. And it looks like my opponent's probably playing Death Shadow. Once upon a time. Are we doing that? In Shadow? Wasteland. Okay. Seeing a Wasteland from my opponent. Yeah, okay, we are doing Shadow. Maybe a Bug Shadow deck list or something like that. Aha! The namesake card of the league has arrived. I think if I'm going to get one of these Wastelanded, I want it to be the Courtyard. I'm going to go ahead and put that on human, and I think I go ahead and go with the Mana Dorks since I'm about to lose this land to Wasteland, presumably. Oh man, I was gonna even say it. The only way this is bad is if we both get Snuff out and my opponent fires off the Wasteland, and it did indeed happen. That's fucking brutal. My opponent... How dare you? How dare you? You come into my house and you do this to me. Do I have time to play an Aether Vial? Or maybe more accurately, like, do I win the game if I don't? I think the way that I win this game is by drawing a 3-mana removal spell that I can use to take out this Death Shadow, but life's bad. Fuck, life's worse. This is 3 damage a turn with the creatures that I play getting disrupted, and then when you start taking Exalted into account, it looks worse. I'm not sure that I come back from this. It was a great start on my opponent's end, and now I'm drawing the expensive stuff. My current plan, I think, involves playing a mid-combat Esper Sentinel to gain 5 life, which is literally just another turn worth of clock. It doesn't feel good. I think I just have to buy this time. This is not the by the book way to use Esper Sentinel, by the way, friends. All right. On its graveyard, getting relatively big. No, please no more. Okay. Another wasteland. Okay. Oh, thank goodness my opponent played Bloodstained Mire this turn. Oh. The Vial can go up. I need to draw another land here, maybe. Okay. We are on aethervial.game. One of my big issues here is like I can jump block for days and go places. I can Palace Jailer to temporarily get rid of a Death Shadow, but that's not permanent. No. Losing the Palace Jailer here, I think, is the point where I don't realistically recover. And my opponent gets to start attacking with any creatures as of next turn. I'm comfortable throwing in the towel there. So my bonus removal in the sideboard isn't great here. It can take out Grist tokens, but I'm going to assume that that's not really the norm. Don't know that I'm sideboarding here. I think my cards are reasonable, but losing 2 mana sources on turn 1 while my opponent could also further their board was just too much. I think I just whack the submit button and run this back and just hope it goes better. Yes, this is a pretty good hand when I'm on the play. Esper Sentinel plus Coppercoat Vanguard is a pretty cool combo, by the way. Not combo in the same sense that, you know, Show and Tell plus Grizzlebrand is a combo. But combo in the sense that this buffs its power while advancing my board and increasing the tax on Esper Sentinel. Marsh Flats is fine. 2-man? It's tempting to just play a whole bunch of Esper Sentinels. But I eat it so badly to any sort of -1 effect that I don't think I'm going to do that. One note about Coppercoat Vanguard, this is each other human, so it itself does not have the ward. If I draw a land, I will probably just play General Kudro over playing double Esper Sentinel. But we'll see. They're thinking about it. Undoing some things. A Douthie Voidwalker. That has Shadow. That can't block, so I can still just get in there and rumble. That's fine. Ooh. Ooh. I can Wasteland my opponent and double Esper Sentinel, or I can just keep the pressure up. I think I Wasteland them. That is a little unclear to me, but I think I Wasteland them. Play this first one. I guess I don't need to be playing around days, but it's just like such a habit that is ingrained in me. Now, free spells from my opponent aren't looking good. Any sort of discard from my opponent doesn't look great. The downside of just like playing out more creatures is that like I'm getting my opponent closer to turning on Death Shadow. Douthie Voidwalker is obviously going to swing. It can't block. Drops me to 17. Land here is very strong. They're thinking about wastelanding me. They didn't, and this happens. Get in there with that giant, beautiful Vorpal sword. Fuck yeah. This card's great. Now, I do have to do that same thing one more time on the draw, which is going to be a touch harder. I don't think Douthie Voidwalker changes anything about the cards that I do want. I would love to find a Cavern of Souls with this hand so that these little boys become uncounterable, but I am a big fan of how aggressive this hand is. Any land that allows me to go white card on turn 2 is so strong. These Thalia's lieutenants in the mid game are hot. So why am I talking about Cavern of Souls so much specifically? I guess that's how heavily ingrained I am in Shadow being base blue-black. Alright, champion down. Reanimate Grief. Presumably taking second champion. My hand lost a lot of oomph there. There's some more oomph. I will need another colored pip. My opponent is really far down on cards, though. Like, they have done their thing. They have to now see if it's strong enough to get them through the rest of this game. I don't show that this turn. Yeah, I don't show that this turn. Go ahead and play the lieutenant. Nothing out in response. That's fine. Don't get my card here. Is each other human, so it itself does not get a counter right now. The world where I'm scared is the world where my opponent produces a large Death Shadow this turn. That's annoying. I lose Thalia's lieutenant here. Some fringe worlds where my opponent could take this, because like I could use this to sack and get rid of a large Death Shadow, but I'm pretty sure Thalia's lieutenant just goes down the drain here. I will take my 3 points of damage. Any castable human or any land that does this is totally fine. Castable human has been acquired. We'll go ahead and throw this into play. Start scaling up my creatures. And now I am very much the beatdown. I don't know that I'm expecting my opponent to play any legendary creature, but I also don't really want to immediately wasteland them, so this is fine by me. Okay, we've put the brakes on that. At this stage, I am very much willing to just trade card for card here. We'll drop a Champion of the Parish just to grow Thalia's Lieutenant, and we'll send these on in. That's fine. My opponent is down to 5. I've got a good amount of power in play, right? So like I have 4 in play now. I have lethal if I draw a mana source for General Kudro. And that's good enough for round 1. GG's. This Vorpal Sword wielding Coppercoat Vanguard is like awesome. Today's video is sponsored by Card Conduit. Selling cards kinda sucks. Card Conduit's trying to make it easier, and they do that by taking all the best buy list prices and aggregating it for you. And they give you the best possible buy list price for your cards. They take a small cut, but even after doing that, you usually end up getting about 19% more than any one specific buy list. And if you want to try this out, use promo code ThrabenU to save some on your fees. This is a tough opening hand. So this opening hand can play turn 2 Coppercoat Vanguard into turn 3 Coppercoat Vanguard. So assuming no disruption of any kind, on turn 3, I attack for 3. On turn 4, I'm going to be attacking for 8 if I can play General Kudro. That's fast, but I have 16 1-drops in this deck. And this doesn't take advantage of the fact that I'm on the play pretty well. And I'm dead to a wasteland. I think I'm going to mulligan this one, and you're going to yell at me in the comments for it. Yeah, this hand is much stronger in a vacuum. I'm going to keep this, I think, just pitching Brutal Cathar and keeping everything that results in my opponent dying quickly. That's very much my game 1 plan when I don't know what deck my opponent is on, is just kill them. We've got turn 1 Champion, probably turn 2 Thalia, turn 3 Thalia's Lieutenant, or Adeline if I do hit the land drop. Don't play Supreme Verdict on me. I am... Oh, okay. Just only Death Shadow gamers are online Thursday at about 5 p.m. Now you know. Now all those things that I was subconsciously saying about how important Cavern of Souls were, they're true now. Goodbye, Thalia. So we'll play the land that my opponent already knows about on human. We're just gonna play cards. If we trade with days, we trade with days. Get big. Go to punchies, bash 3. So the game will get a little weird if Death Shadow starts getting involved. I think I'll outscale a Death Shadow. Wow. It's fine if like my opponent follows up with like a Death Shadow or something, but they don't follow up with something that increases their onboard power. This is a scary spot for them. Any human is just so much damage. I assume oh, I'm not losing unclaimed territory. My opponent is taking the thing that could cast a Swords to Plowshares. Oh, much damage. Oh man. Drop a Lord. And this is such a power play. As this triggers both of these, giving both of my creatures a +1/+1 counter, as well as just 2 more power from its increased stats. This is strong. Yeah, and that's good enough from the concession from my opponent. Even if they played a large Death Shadow, I just go wide of them. No sideboard. Worked last round. Okay, an opposing Wasteland is horrifying for me here, but I don't think I can throw back a hand that looks like this. I imagine my hand will be weaker after I lose Champion of the Parish to like a Thoughtseize, but then I just like play Wasteland into Thalia Coppercoat Vanguard and the hand's still acceptable. And if my opponent just ponders or something on turn 1, like I'm so good with that. Yeah. Second Wasteland is an interesting draw. So this game becomes, am I going down the mana denial route for this game? The second Wasteland does me nothing because my 3-drops are double pip cards. I think I start this game over by Wastelanding my opponent. This just kind of gives me a little bit more time to work towards drawing extra colored pip lands. Now, admittedly, while I'm starting the game over in terms of land drops, I'm not starting the game over in terms of life totals, and that is something that matters and is relevant. God, I'm so good at operating on 2 mana right now. We will drop the uncounterable champion, kind of hope that I don't get wastelanded off this cavern, and it's a very appealing target. Okay, no immediate snuff out or equivalent. No wasteland. So then it becomes like Coppercoat Vanguard versus Thalia for the next turn. Okay, opponent's making moves now, though. My opponent sat there thinking for like a minute before they did their second fetch, so they probably have a playable 1-drop and 2-drop. Or alternatively, they're thinking about whether or not they want to impact their life total lower for a Death Shadow or something. A Gurmag Angler, followed by a Ponder. That's interesting sequencing. Like, you probably want to keep an instant or sorcery in the graveyard in case you have something like a Murktide Regent, but seems like you can ponder first in case you find something else you want to do, because like you locked yourself into the Gurmag Angler decision already. No shuffle, they like what they have. Now what? Both cards are very strong here. I think I play Coppercoat Vanguard. It just plays better with the Adeline that I'm hoping to curve into. Get Swole, pass turn. I think my opponent's Gurmag Angler is permanently on the defensive. If I draw another land, well, I'm fucking wrong. I'll eat 5 all day here. What do you have to work with over there? Rex is annoying. This always goes on human. I can play Adeline, attack with Coppercoat Vanguard, trade that body for Strix while pumping Champion of the Parish twice. And then I can live the dream of playing both of these next turn. Alright, in play, throw Champion. Do I need Champion? Like, I guess Champion is how I'm beating Gurmag Angler. Alright, let's do this. Make my creature, growing the Champion. Alright, Strix does trade here. My opponent's at 11. I have 2 very scary creatures in play. And pretty good possibilities for double spelling next turn. Going for a basic. Oh, a Dismember. Now that the ward is gone. Sure. My opponent could really use to play a Death Shadow on this turn. Otherwise, my Champion of the Parish is going to just punch through the remainder of their life total or put Gurmag Angler on defensive duty. Okay, there is the Death Shadow, which is scary for me. My opponent is at 6. Yeah, this is just suboptimal cantrip sequencing. So in case you're newer to Legacy and you're not aware of this, you should cast your cantrips towards the beginning of your turn most of the time, so that you can use your mana for the rest of your turn with the information you have off the ponder. So consider that my opponent now finds something like a Fatal Push. Well, they can no longer do that, right? There may be some other card that you find that is better than deploying that second Death Shadow. And you lose out on the opportunity to do that when you cast these ponders after you're already doing your thing. Fortunately for them, I don't think it matters here. I'm just absolutely going to get wrecked by that team of creatures, and I've been wastelanded off of top decking a 3-mana creature removal card. I am comfortable conceding here. Like, I can make a Champion of the Parish that trades with a creature, but then there's still just 2 more in play afterwards. I can't quite get over the finish line here. It's possible that going the taxation route would have worked up a little better in terms of tempo, but with double Death Shadow on the other side of the battlefield, I just don't think I'm beating them. And despite seeing Baleful Strix, I don't think I'm going to change any of my cards here for this game. Auto Mulligan, no mana. Not an ideal hand, but absolutely never going back. I think I'm throwing back General Kudro. Put one of these lands on humans, call it a turn. My hand gets considerably weaker if my Thalia gets Thought Seized on turn 1. Otherwise, I'm okay. These are dope as fuck. Opponent's fetching 15. You feeling 15? Not feeling 15. Reanimate. Reanimate is fine. I will beat that handily with Brutal Cathar if I have to. Cavern on human. I'll start by restricting my opponent's resources. This just makes future countersmells. Countersmells? What are countersmells? You know what? I don't know that I want to go down this line of thought. YouTube, ignore that comment. Alright, opponent's at 10. Strix is fine. I have first strike. And the Street Wraith is holding back. If I am willing to play Brutal Cathar, I can remove Street Wraith and start attacking in this turn, but then I kind of have nothing for follow-up creature. But I would much prefer to draw another land and play both of these spells next turn, so I think I'm going for it. Uncounterable Brutal Cathar. Donk Street Wraith. And get in there with Thalia. Now this is a temporary exile effect. That's something that I need to keep in mind. The other thing that I need to keep in mind is that this is not a human on the backside. What? Crazy. That chump block is very unexpected. My opponent have another reanimate? Is that the plan? I don't quite get that play. They need the card in graveyard? Dismember? Yeah, that is an expensive dismember. That costs them their turn. Another land's so good here. Negative. I think I'm interested in the ward this turn. Just make my Thalia more of a pain in the butt to remove. Got a 3/1 first striker. Thalia will be able to attack next turn. I haven't given my opponent a lot of breathing room in terms of casting things like Ponder to select for the spells that they need. I mostly need to hope that they don't have another large creature. Like, oh, that's rough. There is a Snuff Out, so that is going to be a 2-mana Snuff Out because of the ward. And then I'm just going to deploy a new Thalia. Tormag Angler's a little scary here. Okay, yeah, there's a Brainstorm. Wasteland's very strong for my opponent. This gets them out of just immediately dying to a 3-mana threat. I think new Thalia comes first. In you go. And then next turn I try to just play another Lord of some kind and just brute force my way over the finish line. My opponent either has Gurmag Angler or Murktide Regent. They've spent a lot of time tapping and untapping lands. Oh, I was wrong. It was an Engineered Explosives. My opponent figured out how to cast that for X's 2 around a Thalia. They're going to blow up my stuff. They're going to attack in with a Street Wraith. That's a very good card there. Quite unexpected. 2-man? One of these do I play? This one eats it to like a Plague Engineer effect, and this one doesn't, so I guess this one. My opponent's in kind of a tricky spot. Not out of this game. They're also in danger of timing out. They've used a very, very, very large amount of time. I think they're probably inexperienced. No shuffle there. They found something they like. Wasteland me. I think you're supposed to take out the open one. Hymn to Turok, sure. This is quite good. It's a little risky. I don't have the mana for it right now. While most decks might struggle to finish the game, Fatal Push is rough. While most decks might struggle to finish the game within this time window, like my opponent has Death Shadows in their deck list and Murktide Regents and Gurmag Anglers that can get the job done quickly. Yeah, there we go. Did not get the land that I needed. I just play a creature here to have something on board and to make my opponent think twice about whether or not they can attack with both of these creatures. Probably win this game if I find a Cavern of Souls to just force this card through. Okay, they are just attacking in with one creature. That's fine. At 9, I mean, I just have to play my cards. I'll drop this to grow Thalia's Lieutenant. Unfortunately, it looks like this game comes down to whether or not I top deck either a land or another playable card next turn. Oh, they're scared. Honestly, fair. The issue with being scared is that this happens. Like, every card that I play just makes me better at attacking in. I can attack in with a 4/4 Thalia's Lieutenant. That's not exactly good here. Oh, I'm so scared of a counterspell just, like, snatching this game away from me. And, like, it's so reasonable that a counterspell is what my opponent has. Multiple EEs is some shit. It's also only a problem if I draw 2 1-drops in a row there. They have gone back and forth on their attack a whole bunch of times. We'll eat that damage. I think my opponent has back with the wrong one there. There's a lot of factors involved there, though. Alright, play Thalia's Lieutenant. It resolves. I now have a 5/5. I can attack my 5/5 into their 5/5 and trade. Or I can just wait a turn when hopefully I have the larger creature and a trick. The issue is that if my opponent just has a removal spell they can cast, but they can't cast right now, like say a Dismember, not taking this attack here is pretty rough. Oh, this one's tough. The Street Wraith being a 2-turn clock compounds this a lot. I think I'm going to hang back. Hanging back some portion of the time. I don't know, if my opponent has the removal spell, I'm just in such bad shape either way. Okay, they did have it, so if I did attack, they would have gone in. Now a chump block is obligatory, and I think I'm dead. Like, I go to 3, I can remove, or I guess I'm not technically dead, it just sucks, right? I can exile Gurmag Angler, unblock Street Wraith, or vice versa. Yeah, I need 1 more life to win this game. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this card, but my opponent knows that I have something. Then I'm going to pass the turn. And my hope is they attack with 1 creature, playing around something. Again, I'm going to click on this card. F. Let's see, either one of these a god. Either one of those is a god. All right. Exile 1. I unfortunately just have to chump block. My first strike doesn't get me anywhere here. Gurmag Angler comes back, and I'm just in the same position next turn, but +1 land. Why didn't we ponder pre-combat? Find a counterspell or a removal spell, and I'm dead this turn. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, I will concede. That is a disappointing loss. Okay, I've kept my opening hand here, as it is full of human aggro goodness. And we'll see kind of how crazy things can get here. Just a quick note about the last round. I said the deck was going to be bad against sweepers. I think I specifically mentioned Supreme Verdict, but Engineered Explosives also just kind of falls into the same category. All right, we will be playing some Vanguards here. and hoping to stay aggressive. I'm so dead to sweepers. I just want to get this game over as quickly as possible. Hopefully not give my opponent time to set up. Alright, Caldra is a problem. The good news is my creatures are uncounterable. Bad news is kind of everything else about this situation. I had my early aggro element removed, and then my opponent did something that gives them a very impressive body. Sweepers are less likely now, but Caldra complete buys my opponent so very much time. Raucous File, which doesn't matter at this point, and then we'll just start scaling up the humans. They're big, but I don't want to attack into a 5/5 do everything card. What we don't know yet is whether my opponent is like a Cephalid Breakfast deck, or if they are a dedicated like Stoneblade control deck. I think I figured out the answer to that question, folks. I don't know that I really get there now. These are 4/3s. Your attack is good. Ugh. A mess for me. That's not bad. They land on human. I think I use this to get rid of the Caldra token. I think I just passed the turn here. Batterskull Germ is beatable as it stands, whereas the Caldra isn't. My plan is going to involve removing the Caldra token and then just out aggroing the Batterskull. Right, Ward is paid for. Caldra's here. Narset's here. Getting a Brainstorm. Getting domed for 9. I'll just eat that. Pretty bad life swing for me. This is uncounterable. We'll take out that germ for now. Or will it? Basic Mountain. Okay. So my creature has Ward 1, which my opponent can pay for. Get my counter. And then notice here, due to the wording of Brutal Cathar, this creature doesn't actually leave play. Not old templating, it's new templating. So I think that just won my opponent the game. Rules, knowledge matters, yo. Throw Thalia's Lieutenant. I have nothing that reasonably attacks into a Batterskull, though. Like, I have +1 from the Exalted, but I need to be able to live through the attacks. I don't think I'm going to be good against this deck. Another Swords. I think the writing is on the wall here. GG. So I will play a Lauren and a couple of Cathar Commandos to help out with the artifacts that I can destroy. I kind of need the top end like this to get out from this pile of 1-for-1s that my opponent can do. What don't I want? My cards are very reasonable. Sigrid is the same templating as Brutal Cathar. Is it Kudro? My opponent could have Karakas as well. I could also see Aether Vial not being at its best here. Like, I would much prefer to play one of these on turn 1 than a Vial. I'm going to cut a Vial. Then I'm thinking about Kudro or Vial after that. I guess Thalia's Lieutenant also loses a little bit of oomph, but it is so good at powering up some of this stuff that I might just keep it. Yeah, I think I actually want to go threat heavier here. I'll keep one Aether Vial as my 13th 1-drop. I could also play Meddling Mage on Stoneforge Mystic when I'm on the play. Fine. I mean, honestly, this is good. Not just fine. A nice Cavern on Human. Into Champion. My opponent has to, like, ponder on turn 1. Then Coppercoat Vanguard looks really good. Ooh, yeah. Oh, what the fuck? Come on. Come on. I got excited for nothing. Ooh, man. I want to play the 3/2 Flash Creature this turn, actually. Better versus Prismatic Ending. I think I want to do that, even though it's one of my worst cards. There is a Stoneforge. Opponent will presumably find Caldra. I will be sad. Yep. And I'll go ahead and flash this in. And I'm going to have to do a similar thing as last game, where I try to power through these pieces of equipment, which is just not super likely. Like it. Oh, fuck. That was just physically a misclick. I missed 4 points of damage. Cool. Opponent has my fucking number. Not hitting 4 mana and not being able to double 2-drop right now. Both of those are brutal. Multiple end the festivities naturally drawn. No cantrips. Bad spot for me. Like I have part of what's going on covered, but just fully at the mercy of my deck for whether or not I draw something that can take a Kaldra out of the way. Yeah, I'm supposed to play Thalia. Make my opponent's cantrips worse. But I really want to get things out and scaling so that I can go wide of Kaldra for a kill if I need to. Sure. No Kaldra attacks. Cool. Human? I think I'm just going to resolve both my spells here. Thalia is uncounterable. My opponent is tapped out, meaning that this in turn becomes uncounterable. And then I think a little bit later, I take a turn off to Enlistment Officer, find an answer to the Kaldra Germ token, and try to kill my opponent in one shot. I think that very much feels like, air quotes, the plan. This is Narset finding. Brainstorm's fine. I'm so good with 2 mana Brainstorm right now. Where is this going? On the Thalia. Sure. Followed by that Brainstorm. New Thalia. I don't think I do that here. Let's draw some cards in a way that doesn't get stopped by Narset. I might have to crack Silent Clearing in the not too distant future. The issue with doing that is that some of my removal costs 4 mana, like Palace Jailer. Which one of these needs to be uncounterable? I think the Thalia. It is just more of a pain in the butt for my opponent. Scale up. Thing though is that I do kind of want to the Thalia once I have Ward 2 on her. So maybe the other order is correct. Regardless, I don't think it matters very much. I think this game comes down to whether or not I find an answer for Kaldra. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, I think it comes down to, like, do I find an answer for Kaldra before my opponent finds a sweeper or before they find a Batterskull to put onto True Name Nemesis that I just can never beat. Even something like a Jitte is bad enough here. Days Undoing, sure. Adeline. Adeline's interesting. Can't really draw another card here. Silent Clearing with the timing that I would like to. This is uncounterable. I'll scale up Lieutenant twice. Creature's looking dummy thick over here. Just passing. My attacks aren't that great. The board is starting to get to the point, though, where it's not crazy for me to bring my opponent from 17 to 0 in one go. Attic Ending is fine. That may mean that my opponent has found Batterskull or Jitte. Going deeper into their deck. It could last forever. Land drop, human, pass. I'll crack a Silent Clearing on my opponent's turn. Land drop, fetch. Okay. My opponent's just going to go full 5 mana immediately to equip a True Name or a Kaldra. Okay, yep. Yes. I can draw my card right now. Can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Let's draw that. It's a Karakas. I'll just eat this damage. And the next turn they just equip Kaldra and I die. And I don't believe I have lethal. But let's find out, because I am just 100% dead on board as things stand now. Let's end by shoving some creatures, eh? Attack you, trigger both lieutenants. Ooh, I wonder if the block on a legendary creature kills them. Holy shit. I haven't done any math. I assume the answer is no. But bounce Adeline. I get that creature exiled in first strike damage. Bring my opponent to 11. I guess I'll force them to see the line that's on board that kills me. Although honestly, if they miss it, I'm just dead anyway, right? No, this also kills me. Unseed. This is not a match that I want to play. Oh no, absolutely not. This is all mana. We are not the beat down with a hand like this. Auto mulligan. Um, this is a keep. I'm not sure whether I want to throw back Vial or Enlistment Officer. A lot of it depends on whether or not Esper Sentinel actually ends up drawing cards, and whether or not Cowan gets wastelanded. I think I am gonna throw back the Vial. That one's tough though. Aiga. Came back. I think I'm supposed to wasteland this in case I'm playing against that Rhino Cascade deck. Just keeping them off their initial mana sources is kind of a big deal. I'm going to go to their upkeep and wasteland them. And hope I don't die to 8 power on turn 1. Because you don't beat that when you're playing a deck that looks like this one. Junk that Taiga. Urza Saga. Okay, so my wasteland is bad. We're playing against lands instead. That's rough. Made the wrong call in a vacuum. Oh oh no. So my opponent cast Life from the Loam and didn't actually choose their targets. That's real good for me. That's real good for me. I'm always playing Cavern on Human. I think most of the time this game goes on long enough that I play the Vial. So we're playing against Sphere of Resistance lands. So, okay, my opponent has more Saga and the ability to recycle Saga. I think I just didn't come out the gates fast enough with this one. Like, my wasteland here is kind of a big deal. Or was, rather. I think I'm interested in dropping this, picking up Coppercoat Vanguard, and then on... I guess I'll do it now. I think at this point I will throw in the Esper Sentinel. Yeah. Vial might get Pithing Needled. I don't remember whether or not the new Sphere of Resistance builds are playing Needle main deck. Guessing that they are, but I don't actually remember for sure. They are. Oh. Okay, my opponent's not going aggro here. Not sure that they have to, but I think they would have been fine doing so. So let's make the board bigger. Let's play a Thalia's Lieutenant. Oh fuck, I got caught up in the cute thing that I could do of playing this, activating the Vial. The Vial just got needled. So this is a 3/3. Attacks aren't good for the time being. That's fine. Thalia's Lieutenant will scale up just fine over time. I just don't know that I'm going to end up better than, like, the... Wow, just totally having a brain fart. The Shadow Spear. There we go. That my opponent is probably about to get. Ends up being quite scary here. My opponent can just, like, loan back these Urza Sagas. Okay. It's air quotes, just a Mockstein. Another one. Rough. My opponent will cast a Loam. I'll get to draw a card here. Every card matters. And I'm going to keep ticking this up towards 4. I don't remember if I have a way to do this in game 1. Human. Play a champion. Throw Lieutenant. Then we'll buff the team one more time with Coppercoat Vanguard. So I have a whole bunch of valid attackers. I think I'm supposed to just keep chilling though. In the not too distant future, I will have a first striker. I do have to worry about my opponent just finding the other half of Merit Lodge combo though. Or Saga. That's pretty good. My opponent just gonna let me draw a card. Are they going to give up a construct? Oh, I guess they couldn't actually just give up a construct, right? Ooh. I can use this to snag a Life from the Loam at some point. Does it make more sense for me to play a Thalia here, or just play this? I think play this. A lot of triggers. Got a Taiga first, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm just chilling. I think I'm outscaling these constructs. A little hard to tell. Like, my opponent isn't being as aggressive as I thought they would be in attacking with these. I can convert lower quality humans like these that aren't super good on board into ways to kill constructs. What is this? Surge going to do? Just another Mox Diamond? Okay, there is the Shadow Spear that I was slightly concerned about earlier. Alright, let's see if any attacks happen now. 10 power with lifelink. And more importantly, trample. I think I just eat that. Try to do something impressive on my own turn. Concede? My whole plan was go wide, and then my opponent dropped that, and that kind of ruins my plan. I am comfortable conceding there. I lost that game for wastelanding my opponent on turn 1 in the dark. I want Lauren and the Cathar Commandos here to help deal with artifacts. I am not sure that I actually want to go for fairies to address the graveyard. They're not actually all that great. Listman Officer is very slow here. My mana is going to be taxed. Sigrid doesn't feel great. I guess it is an instant speed way of exiling a Merit Lodge, though. That may give it the nod over Brutal Cathar. You could also just get rid of Rick. It's not like Rick is necessary here. Some nice endgame that can get me out of range of certain removal spells. This is one of those hands like, do they start with a Life from Loam? Lauren Caracas plus Vile is pretty potent as a unit. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to play Vile on turn 1, or if I'm supposed to just play Noble Hierarch to always be able to Lauren on turn 2 to blow up a Mox Diamond. I think I'm supposed to play Noble Hierarch. We'll throw the Cavern on Human and accelerate our board. Okay, no initial play from my opponent, which makes the Noble Hierarch play significantly worse, as does just drawing another land here. That's pretty brutal. Guess I play this, cast a Vile, bash in for 1. Not a particularly strong hand given my opponent's opening turns. But this deck so frequently is going to play turn 1 Mox Diamond or Urza's Saga or Exploration that I'm comfortable keeping the hand. Alright. Yeah, see, this is what I wanted to happen last turn. This is fine too. Now it's just a problem if they also have Life from the Loam. Library's fine. I guess crop rotation be a bit of an issue. Just play it a little differently than I was planning on doing. Don't want more land here. I'll do this one on Human. Drop Lauren. It's on 2 cards. Gonna go for the Library and then Urza's Saga. Do that in their turn. Goodbye, Saga. Ah, damn, they did have the crop rotation. Alright, they've got a new Urza's Saga. Yeah, so if I was willing to leave them with the Sylvan Library for a turn, I could have like destroyed Mox Diamond with Lauren and then wastelanded Urza's Saga. Fucking come on. Brutal. These draws also have not been particularly forgiving here. So I'll go ahead and attack for my 3 points of damage from Exalted. Drop my opponent to 15. Bounce Lauren. And recast Lauren, taking out an Urza Saga. This Lauren engine is going to start looking good next turn when I can attack for 3 and then Caracas bounce it. Destroy something while taking out another card. Braid in the graveyard there. Okay, my opponent's just going to make a land drop and pass. Ooh. That is a good surprise. I can wasteland Urza's Saga as a starting point. My opponent will have a 2/2 artifact creature. I'll attack with Lauren, which gets bigger because of this Exalted trigger. My opponent will block, at which point I'll activate this, put in General Kudro, exile that Urza Saga so it doesn't come back again. My creature lives, my opponent's dies. Then I will bounce Lauren and redeploy, taking out a Mox Diamond. And we'll chip away at the other Urza Saga in the graveyard now. Hell of a turn cycle. This sort of thing conceptually is what I wanted to happen when I kept the opening hand. Ooh. That's annoying, as both of these are legendary creatures. Do I want to immediately play Thalia's Lieutenant? Probably. So the plan is definitely go wide at this point. Take out a Taiga here. There's a lot of theoretical damage. Oh, wow, my opponent's not gonna bounce either? Okay, yeah. So then I'll go ahead and immediately Vial back in, which buffs Thalia's Lieutenant, lets me take another land out of graveyard. My opponent still takes a good chunk of damage here, and I will pay a life to get another Vial going. Okay, my opponent's had enough of that. On the draw, Palace Jailer is a little ambitious. I think I'm still going to keep it. It's a perfectly reasonable hand that might just not be good enough. I'm definitely keeping, though. And I'm going to be in one of these tough spots where whether or not my opponent has Wasteland, is a huge deal. I guess I got rid of it. I can turn one Hierarch to be better against a Sphere, or I can just turn one Champion of the Parish and try to go as aggro as I can. I think I'm supposed to Hierarch. I think Champion and Thalia next turn, or Cathar Commando and Crack It next turn, depending on how things look, will probably end up being stronger than just immediate Champion. Alright, taking some damage off Sylvan Library. That's a very big... Fuck off! I realistically probably can't beat that. Like, I'll attempt, but this is a it's an absolute disaster that my opponent just had that in their opening hand. Like, my plan now becomes scale up a probably singular Champion of the Parish large enough to just kill my opponent or get lucky and draw Wasteland. But losing out on my additional mana from Hierarch is brutal. Oh wow, going deep with the life loss for Sylvan Library. Okay, Braid is rough. Is that it? No. And Ghost Quarter. Oh, if this is just another Wasteland, I lose my board. And my opponent has Sylvan Library. I'm going to concede here. I'm realistically not winning this game from this position. GG's. Alright, I've kept my hand for the final round here. I think I'm going to lead on this land and just drop an Aether Vial. It's possible that I want to play Cavern first in case Vial gets countered and I want to Wasteland my opponent next turn. But like in the instances where Vial gets countered and then my opponent has Wasteland, I don't want this getting Wastelanded. Alright, so let's drop this and get Champion of the Parish going. Champion into Adeline is pretty strong. Still definitely worried about Cavern of Souls getting Wastelanded. What did my opponent pitch to force? It was just force, right? Yeah. So we could be playing against a Delver variant. We could be playing against Sneak and Show. I think I'm dropping this and doing Adeline. It's possible going after this land is correct, but I just don't know what my opponent is on as of right now. Adeline doesn't get lightning bolted, which is cool. Champion will scale up very quickly. Kudro plus Adeline is also, relatively speaking, pretty strong. Brainstorm's fine. Daze resolves. There's a fetch. Lightning bolt is fine. Now, if my opponent dazed to specifically like put an extra instant or sorcery in the graveyard for Garmag Angler, this is notably not a mistake, which is exactly what happened. Which is unfortunate because I was about to keep the graveyard in check for the rest of the game. This always goes on human. I can't double spell this turn. I can Enlistment Officer looking for something that answers Murktide Regent. I think that's what I am supposed to do rather than Thalia plus Wasteland here. Or not. Or not. Okay, no attack this turn. Next turn is Kudro plus Adeline nonsense. I assume my opponent will be crashing in for damage. Yep. Delver's fine. That's not going to realistically change the clock. I think you're supposed to cast that cantrip first before the Delver. Same as in a previous round. Cool. So this goes on human. Uncounterable Thalia. Into uncounterable Drannith Magistrate. Or not, blah, blah. General Kudro. Wrong Drannith card. Take out the Brainstorm. Is a bit of an unfortunate thing here. But we're kind of hoping that doesn't actually matter. Yeah. What is this? 10 damage? Yeah. So we're just hoping that I kill my opponent through this. Chain Lightning. Oh, that's so fucking unfortunate as a top deck. Yeah, so my opponent needed to have exactly Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt in hand. They couldn't have cantripped for it. Otherwise, I just kill them next turn. So next turn, my plan was go to attack with everything, Adeline token, and then use General Kudro's ability to kill Murktide Regent. All right, I think Enlistment Officer, especially on the play later on, will be too slow. I think I'm going to play either one Pontiff or one Night Clubber. The Night Clubber is a 2/2 base, but Pontiff can also be used as a buff for damage. I think I want Pontiff. White-black is also slightly easier than black-black on the mana base because I do have 2 Karakas and 1 Plains. This is a keep. I'm bad against Wasteland, which probably means that I play Noble Hierarch on turn 1 rather than immediately choosing to scale up with Champion of the Parish. Okay, great. I am happy to see my opponent playing threats rather than answering my stuff as of right now. This turn's actually a little tricky. This always goes on human. I think I'm going to start with Champion. Play Esper Sentinel. Both of these are played around days. Target themselves. Okay, it's in play. Champion gets to start scaling up. I'll send in with a 1/2 Noble Hierarch. Get some chip damage in. Then next turn, I can either play 1 Thalia's Lieutenant and Wasteland my opponent, or potentially attempt double Thalia's Lieutenant. I know they have a Force of Will now. That's good to know about. Esper Sentinel doing a little bit of work here. Targeted themselves there. Okay, there is a fetch land. I'll take that damage. Hate that this isn't wastelandable as it stands right now. If I play this, I think I start here. I assume this gets the Force of Will out of my opponent's hand. Now this Esper Sentinel triggers. Hey, got a card this time. So then, still pre-combat, I'll go ahead and cast a Noble Hierarch. Scaling up Champion. I think I just do this. Take the attack with 1 creature. Alright, opponent goes to 13. I'm a little soft to some sort of I see, Wasteland my Wasteland, sure. I will force your fetch then. Not really what I want to be doing, but Esper Sentinel doing more work in this game than it has done the entire league combined. So then my opponent will fetch, and the stack clears. Delver's still getting in the red zone. New Esper Sentinel. I think I start my turn there. Play Caracas. Drop Esper Sentinel. Alright, it's in play. We'll attempt to scale everything up further. Nice. My opponent can pay for 1 of those. Draw a card with a second. That's a good one to get. Get the most attacking like this. And bash in for 6 damage. Again, pretty weak to a red sweeper here. Like, I would still have a Champion of the Parish in play, but not great. Esper Sentinel, though. Doing Karanos' work out here. Okay, that's good enough for a win. I could try to shove my curve a little bit lower. when I am on the draw and like play Meddling Mage, cutting off my opponent's like Lightning Bolts or Murktide Regents or whatever can be pretty strong. Not like Pontiff is the best card in the world. It's a very situational removal spell. So like I could definitely see doing that. I just love the idea of giving my humans lifelink as this game goes late. I already have 31 and 2 drops in the deck. I think it's okay to keep Rick. This is too slow. My opponent starts the game on like a Delver or Dragon Rage Channeler, and they get turned around quickly. I just don't think this is reasonable. Whereas this is reasonable. Probably throw back the Meddling Mage from this hand. And my opponent's turn 1 will probably dictate whether or not I'm playing Noble Hierarch or Esper Sentinel on 1. I want them to just cantrip. Great. Another Noble Hierarch. The lack of actual green mana in my hand, I think, makes me want to just do this, despite the fact that I kind of want the Esper Sentinel in play early. Assuming that I don't get wastelanded, I can always do like both of these next turn. Noble Hierarch dead. Not immediately is the answer to that. Ooh. Nice. So that goes on human. I don't think I Brutal Cathar immediately. I think I let my opponent expend some resources first. I think I'm interested in playing an Esper Sentinel and increasing its power so I guaranteed draw some cards and get some of my creatures out of the way of something like End the Festivities. Then next turn I can drop both Brutal Cathar and Noble Hierarch to further pump the Thalia's Lieutenant that I played out this turn. Oh, gosh, that's a painful bobble. Yeah. Oh, another Brutal Cathar is nasty. Love that. That one's targeting me. Chain lightning at my face? Excuse me? What? I'm a little surprised. Like, I'll take the 4 in the air. Like, I'm at 12, but my position is about to become very good. Okay. I'll drop Unclaimed Territory, name Human, Uncounterable Human to grow Thalia's Lieutenant. Let's just always yield to that. Uncounterable Human to remove Sprite Dragon. Yeah. So I have 2 creatures that can attack. I have 2 exalted creatures, so this is all kind of the same here. I guess I'll attack with both bodies. Not blocking hasty flyers anyway. I haven't mathed it out, but feels like my opponent's probably dead in a turn or so. Yep. Oh, nice. That's very good with Thalia's Lieutenant in play here. A Murktide Regent. It would be a damn shame if something happened to that, now wouldn't it? So, play this. Take. It's uncounterable. I can tap this. That's not attacking this turn. Drop new removal spell. Take out Murktide Regent. Do an uncounterable Adeline. Scale up Thalia's Lieutenant once. Attack with all of my stuff. Trigger Adeline. Scale up Thalia's Lieutenant a second time. Is my opponent dead? No, they are at 2. They are at 2, facing down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bodies attacking next turn. Hello and good luck. Delver. Let's start on an Esper Sentinel. Scale up Thalia's Lieutenant. And draw a card off of this. Uncounterable Champion. Throw Thalia's Lieutenant. Noble Hierarch. Throw 2 of my creatures this time. Price of progress. I respect it. I respect showing yourself the door on the way out. My opponent says you're supposed to play another land, so we both die. GG. We end up with a 2-3 finish here. So that's it. We have reached the end of the video here. We got a 2-3 finish, but honestly, I'm really happy with this deck list. I think this deck is something that I would be very happy taking to a competitive event, but less happy playing in leagues. Like, as we saw in the last round there, when we are paired up against a blue deck and cards like Esper Sentinel can just absolutely go wild, and we're mostly expecting our opponent to try to 1-for-1 us, this deck feels very strong. And it was only things like sweepers that really kind of slowed our deck down enough to make us play a fairer game than what we want to play. So I think if you're going into a field full of things like Delver, I would be perfectly happy playing this deck list. This deck is fast enough that I think it can keep up with a lot of combo, and I think the meddling mages will give you reasonable success versus combo in the post sideboard games, assuming you don't just get turn one. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!